Happy Wednesday and not Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Hanging Cable South Africa on Raceday TV with myself, Keith Botha, and Cliffy Ogle. We are joined in the house this evening with Bridgestone Superbike and Bridgestone Challenge riders, Byron, Hein, and Savannah. And then obviously later on this evening, we're chatting to RideFast Magazine's one and only Robert Portman. Welcome to the show. Cliffy, how are you doing, bud?
Hey man, we hanging in there with the lockdown. I see everyone's hair is getting a little bit out of control. It's almost time for a haircut. But with the extension now, who knows what we'll look like by the time we get out of this thing? We'll look like cavemen. Yeah, I mean, like I'm saying.
There's a problem happening here, as you can see. There's an attempt, and I just thought, no, just save it with my my championship cap. Thank you very much. Without further ado, we've got two very special guests on their BMWs that participate in the Bridgestone Superbike and Bridgestone Challenge for the 2020 season. Hein, Byron, welcome to the show, guys.
Hello, guys.
Thank you.
It's actually so good to see you all actually kiss the screen. I miss you guys, man.
Yeah, we miss you too, man. It's been way too long. It's been way too long. But now we've got you in the studio, and I mean, you guys. I mean, the start of the 2020 season's been good and bad for you guys as a team. But tell us, Hein, if you can kick it off for us. Where did the racing bug bite, and where did it all begin?
I think basically for Byron and myself, it's almost been the same. We've been on motorcycles most of our lives, from small 16 years old, 15 years old, riding on the road, etc. And then the whole Bike SA 24-hour races started, and obviously we had to try and get a team together. That's actually where Byron and myself, we met one another, and yeah, we competed in all the Bike SA 24-hour races. And I think we actually showcased our talents, and after the 24-hour bike races stopped, we had to find something else to keep ourselves busy with. So yeah, we tried to take on some of the best guys in South Africa on the tracks, and it's been going on from there. We have just not stopped, and we're not planning to stop anytime soon. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. So when you started on the 24-hour, what bikes did you race in that 24-hour Superbike, or did you go for something a little bit more comfortable?
We actually participated in all the 24-hour races, and all of them were on Superbikes. There were GSXR 1000s, GSXR 750s, actually a 600 where we popped the motor, where we had to replace it with a 750. 1 year we entered into the Odin 4812-hour with a BMW and a what was it, GSXR 1000. So yeah, we've been on Superbikes all the way, and yeah, I think the comfortable stuff is more for the road. It's not really for racing. So yeah.
Byron, do you want to tell us your story? Like, I mean, is that true what he said there? Is that how you started? Just from the audience at home, like, did you guys start off together or as competitors? Because now you're in a team together with the two BMWs.
Yeah, no, we didn't start together. We actually met through the 24-hour, putting the team together. I'd started out doing more track days and road riding than anything else. And then yeah, Slaki and I met with the 24-hour team, and then yeah, it's just grown and gone from there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day, the first time I met you, Byron, you were on a ZX10, and you were racing Red Star Club races and Northern Regions and that sort of thing. But now that you guys have changed to BMWs, you guys are fierce competitors in the Bridgestone Challenge series. What made you guys decide to go BMW? Because you guys are on basically matching machinery. The only difference is a bit of livery here and there. But I mean, the setup that you run looks absolutely factory.
From my side, it was actually an opportunity to get onto the BM through one of my sponsors, JEYS Consultants. They made the bike possible for me, and yeah, then it's just grown and got better and better and better from there.
Guys, now
Yeah.
I mean sorry, I'm just interjecting here. Like, the team looks really good. You guys have made a big effort this year to come together. Cliffy mentioned something earlier that we'll speak about now, because there was a situation earlier or at the end of last year, where you were gonna possibly change over to the ZX10 Masters, a red square on the Kawasaki's, because the age limit dropped to 30 and not 35, and I mean, we're all in that bracket, so it kind of opened doors to us. But then you guys decided to rather stick to the Bridgestone Challenge and take on the championship there. And I mean, you had a very good and mixed start to the season, I think, on both sides of the team. Do you want to elaborate on that and why you stuck with the challenge as opposed to go to the ZX10?
I think, first of all, we have not given up the choice to go over to ZX10. It's still on the cards. First of all, we've obviously funds with racing, as everyone knows, it gets quite expensive. So to purchase another machine, it is quite expensive. Plus, on the other side, Byron will back me up on this. I mean, we've spent so much money, time, and effort on these BMWs. It's like our second girlfriend. We don't want to get rid of them. So we are planning to actually put the BMWs up for sale eventually and get us a set of ZX10s and go and join the ZX10 Cup. I think the ZX10 Cup, the feeling, the atmosphere, the vibe, everything is just awesome. Also, obviously, for the sponsors, to keep the sponsors happy, the publication, the TV coverage, everything else in the ZX10 Cup is so much better. Plus, we don't want to be Stefan Bradl on a Moto3 bike. I mean, we're starting to get a bit older, so I mean, we need to go ride with the proper boys as well. So it is still on the cards.
So what would be the last swaying factor for you guys to join? Is it basically, are the BMWs up for sale as we speak, or are you still contemplating that?
I think Byron will say that he obviously, like I said, we don't want to get rid of the bikes. I mean, it's a love affair, really. I mean, my bike's nickname is the German Mistress, so I don't want to get rid of it. I really don't want to. But as we speak now, yes, the bikes are still for sale. And if they end up going, then definitely we'll move over to the ZX10 Cup. It's been a dream for very long. We decided late last year that we wanted to do it. I think the notification that we got that the age limit was dropped, but was a bit late for us to prepare properly for the ZX10 Cup as well. But you never know. Maybe you guys will see us in the ZX10 Cup next year. I think we're not doing too bad in the Bridgestone Superbikes or the challenge at this current stage. And I think we're putting up a proper show as well. So I think we'll continue this year, and we'll see what happens next year.
Byron, what's your feeling on that? What's your take on that? But because I mean, those BMWs are really fast, and I mean, look. Guys, welcome back to Raceday.tv on Hanging Cable with myself and Cliffy. Obviously, we're having some internet difficulties, as you can see, but we are alive and well. Thank you very much. Just to pick up that question, Hein, I was mentioning to Byron that you guys are obviously still in the Bridgestone Challenge and Superbikes, but you know, you've got a big battle on your hands. Nassif Wadala came into this championship this year with that new R1, and I think he raised a bit of eyebrows and he brought the fight to you guys. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? And I mean, were you surprised?
You know, Keith, I was really surprised. I mean, I used to watch the Bridgestone Challenge guys, and you never think they'll become that fast, especially if you come from a last race to the next race and you gain like 6 seconds. So I take my hat off to Nassif and them. I mean, the guy is really a machine, and the bike that he's on is also a machine. And yes, we've got our hands full. And I actually, I like the challenge, the guys coming up and showing what they can bring. I mean, you've got Ian and them as well. They all are really becoming properly fast. I mean, like you said, we've got our hands full. Unfortunately, we had some bad luck this year, but Byron is stepping in where I'm not making up the ground. And I'm almost certain that the next few races we'll keep the crowd on their feet. Nassif, and we hope to have Harry back one of these days as well. I know he had an operation as well, so I hope to have him back. Like I said, Ian and them is also becoming really fast. So the front runners, I mean, we're all less than a second apart. So yes, it's going to be spectacular racing the next few races as soon as we can just get this lockdown over. So yes.
No. Look, I mean, the one thing, it's funny you brought up Harry now. I'm not going to elaborate too much, but for our viewers out there, Harry Timmerman, who's also a part and ex-master champion of the Bridgestone Superbikes, he, on his HP4, had a bit of a stumble on round one, Cliffy. And I spoke to Harry today, and I remember having a conversation next to track and looking at his bike, and him and Chris explaining to me what damage was on the bike. And he looked at me and he's like, "Yeah, I definitely have a fracture in my hand." And we kind of left it there, hoping to see him at round two. And we didn't, because the bike was still getting prepared and set up. And then today I had a conversation with Harry, and, the other side of racing is quite real, where he had a crash. And I mean, so for you who don't know, I'm not going to elaborate too much. We're actually bringing Harry onto the show next week to have a full episode with Harry Timmerman and talk about his racing career. But suffice it to say, I think, unfortunately, we've come to the end of Harry's racing career. I had a very long, unexpected conversation with the man today, and we'll go into detail next week. But he actually ended up re-injuring his back that was broken once before. And he had to go into emergency surgery in the last couple of weeks. And yeah. It's been one of those.
It looks like we've got a flag to flag race here. I mean, we need to swap bikes the whole time. So yeah.
Guys,
like
we do apologize
on the grid.
I do apologize for the internet connection. There's a lot of people doing some amazing stuff online. I do think the South African interwebs is taking a bit of strain. We also have the Solidarity e-race coming on a bit later. That's also taking up a lot of attention, as it should. So go support that and watch that. It's very good racing. We had Colin from Raceday.tv also enter. Unfortunately, he didn't have his A gear set up and a rig put up for him, so he's still adapting to that. But anyway, welcome back to Hanging Cable. Cliffy, Hein, sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
I was just finishing off and just kind of talking about Harry Timmerman. We'll have him on the show next week. The man's actually going through way more than we thought initially. I think we all just assumed that his bike was broken and crashed, and his hand and his little pinky. And unfortunately, I spoke to the man himself today, and he actually re-broke his back with two vertebrae actually disintegrating. So it's quite a serious injury, and it's not something to joke or laugh about. It's quite close to home for all of us. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. But next week on Hanging Cable South Africa with myself and Cliff, we'll speak to Harry and just see how he's doing, what's happening with him, and the plans for the future. But Harry, big shout out to you. You're very much the Iron Man of the Bridgestone Superbikes, and we respect and love you. So recover quickly, and we'll chat to you next week. Hein, just a last thing. What's up with your bike? I mean, you were doing really well at race 2 at Red Star. Like, you were getting in there, you were giving them gas, and then all of a sudden on the straights, you started losing power. I mean, it looked like your bike was dying. Was that the issue? What's the vibe there?
You know, the thing is, I can't really complain. I mean, this motorcycle last year, we did brilliantly on it with not one hiccup. And I mean, not everything can go well ever, so forever. So during the Swartkops race, obviously, as everyone knows, I made a stupid mistake on the first race. I actually won the race. I did not know about the rules. So, I mean, rules count for rules. I was disqualified. So obviously, I won't do that again. And then from the second race at Swartkops and also the 2 races at Red Star, like you said, I just had issues where I think I found the issue. There was a wiring issue on my bike, and the bike basically just went into limp mode. So we went through the whole thing. Obviously now with the lockdown, we found some issues on the bike that we're fixing. So yeah, I'm sure with the races coming up, I'm sure we'll be up in the front again. So hopefully all the bad luck is over now. They say it comes in threes, and I lost 3 races. So yeah, I'm sure it's over now. But on that note as well, I mean, I would also like to say, I mean, the fun thing about this series that we are in, even the top competitors like and Nassif, I'm going to say Nassif, that is actually leading the championship, and obviously we rivals. Where Nassif will actually even go out of his way, try to assist me and see if he can get the bike fixed, find out what the problem is, etc. So that's what's so great about this challenge that we're racing in. I mean, the guys are there, they're really having fun. Yes, it's competitive, but the fun factor is there as well. And I encourage other people that are thinking about racing, guys, really, I mean, it's really a big jewel. So yeah, come and join us. It's fun.
Cliffy, you're in
there,
that. Yeah, I'm jumping in there.
Sorry, man, I should have touched it there. Yeah, so I mean, my start to the year has been worse than Hein's probably, but yeah, like Hein, now we sitting in lockdown and we waiting for the season to get going. But I mean, I'm sure Hein will agree with me. We've both got big plans for how the season's going to end for us. So I think I'm sure Hein can agree with me. We're sitting here now, probably more motivated now than what we were at the start of the season. Because I mean, Hein, like I mean, if I look at Hein and Harry were probably my favorite for the season. And if I looked at it and said, you know, who's the biggest competitors and who's going to take each other on the hardest all the way down to the final race, those would be my two that I would throw into the hat. But Nassif's come on board, and like you said as well, Ian is also riding very well. And I think it's going to be down to who's going to be able to adapt to all the different circuits that we go to the quickest and be the most consistent, because I'm pretty sure as we get closer and it starts to get down to those last few rounds and everyone's fighting for points, we're going to see Oaks go handlebar to handlebar for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to see now that Hein says his bike is running well. I'm excited to see what he can do, because you know, Nassif has gone out and he's led races from the front. I mean, barring the one Red Star race, he's basically led from the front. But I'm very curious to see how it's going to be once there's a bit of pressure coming from behind and there's a chasing pack. So, yeah, it's exciting times for the Bridgestone Challenge. There's definitely a lot of guys that are coming, and they're coming quickly. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, I also think one guy that you... Sorry, Cliffy. I also think one guy that we shouldn't forget about. I mean, look at the race that Lance Murray did. He also came from the Bridgestone Challenge last year. He's back on a ZX10 this year, and the guy is riding the wheels of that thing. So, like you said, I think it's going to be a fierce battle at the end of the year. I just hope that this lockdown doesn't go on too long, where it spoils the whole of 2020. But even if it does, I think next year is also going to be a cracker. So, yeah. I
think also, Han, just to touch on that as well, which is quite interesting. Sorry, Keith. Is like you said, there's a lot of guys that have come, because I mean it's Thunderbikes now sort of amalgamated with Challenge, but the guys that have come to the front all of a sudden are unknown quantities. And I mean, a lot of us have seen them race, but we've actually never raced against them. So going into races now, you actually have no idea what you're up against and how the guys ride. So passing, and that's a little bit difficult and a little bit iffy, but as we get closer to the end of the year, we're going to find out who wants it more. So yeah, definitely going to be an interesting season.
Well, look, I mean, I can jump in between the two of you. So, I mean, for you guys at home that don't know, so we used to have Bridgestone Superbikes that was sub 10 at Rothquel, so 1 minute, 10 seconds and less. And then we had the Bridgestone Challenge from 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 seconds upwards, going to 125 or 126, something like that. So what's happened, because everyone got faster, they've kind of joined the group. So we have people like Byron and Slaki in the mix there, with guys like Nassif, who won Bridgestone Challenge in 2019, who's up there now fighting again for the championship. And he was in the mix with Harry Timmerman and with Slaki. Francois, Uncle Francois, happy birthday today, sir, by the way. That guy just getting faster and faster. Ian's getting faster and faster. Happy birthday to you also, Ian. You're also having a birthday today. But those guys are the older guys that's been racing for a while. Francois hasn't been racing competitively for a long time. It's only been a few years, but he's getting faster and faster. Harry on the 600, Zadie on the 600, and Absol on the 600 are all up in the mix there. It's one of the most competitive fields. I remember round 2 at Red Star, and it was the most exciting race I've ever seen on a challenge. I literally looked at it from the sideline, competing on the Zontas that day, and just went, I'm very happy I'm not, because it was too hectic for me. But purely because it was so competitive. So I think from an entry-level perspective, if you want to start off and you've never raced and you come off a street bike, start with the Zontas 310. That's your vibe for a year, and then go to the challenge. Because these guys aren't playing around anymore. It's not an entry-level championship, according to me. Like, you can't just go in there. If you're inherently a good rider and you've been on track and you've been on track days, go for it. And if you can match the times that they're doing with the mid-pack or the backpack, you'll be in a competitive dogfight, trust me. But it's no longer an entry-level championship. Cliff, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you said, a lot of the guys have gotten faster and faster, and we're finding now that just to break into the top 10 is an incredible feat on its own. So, yeah, if you've got guys that are looking for a challenge, I mean, like you said, Zontes is a great way to learn the racecraft, but you're definitely going to need it in the challenge going forward in that. But, I mean, there's battles all the way down the field. Maybe the grids are not as big as they used to be back in the day with 40 bikes on the grid. But I reckon as people watch the racing and get more involved, you're going to see the grids filling up again, and we're going to see battles from the top 10 down to the bottom 20. So it's definitely an exciting series to watch. And I think the guys, the organizers in that, like Johan Ferry with the most magnificent moustache in the business, have done the right thing by stepping back and seeing what's good for racing and getting the guys to race again, as opposed to processions with five bikes on track just looking at lap time. So yeah, definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, Hein, how do you feel about that? Do you agree with the statement we made?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I remember in the beginning of the year, the guys were really complaining. There were complaints coming out about always trying to break out of challenge, and now I'm being thrown back into challenge. And I don't want to race with the superbike guys because they're too fast for me. But like you said, I mean, look at the guys, how much quicker they are getting. I mean, throw someone in the deep end, and that's the best way you learn, face the facts. I mean, as soon as you can see someone in front of you and he goes into the corner 30 kilometers faster than what you are, you notice that, hey, listen, I can actually do this, and this is how the guys are growing. And I mean, the next step is the superbikes. At this current stage, yes, we don't have a superbike category. There's one or two riders that's now moved over to the national series, but all the fast guys will eventually move over into the superbikes with the nationals, and we'll have new blood coming into the challenge again. But it's definitely it's a fun series, and you really learn a lot in the series. It's great fun, I must say.
Yeah, Cliffy, I mean, jump in there. I mean, we seem to have lost Byron. I don't know where he's gone. I think he's just left you to do all the talking, Hein. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem. He's disappeared into the sunset.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to have to be the brand ambassador. I mean, let's get to the real deal. Your sponsors, the people that support you, do you want to take a moment and just acknowledge all of them? This is why we have the show. We want to make sure that everyone gets looked after on the media and a marketing perspective. I mean, who's your backers and how long have they been around?
Yeah, I think, look, everyone knows that, like I said earlier, racing is quite expensive. And, welcome back, Byron. Racing is quite expensive. And without the sponsors, we won't be able to do this. I mean, it's not easy. So what we did is late last year, Byron had his sponsors, I had my sponsors, and we decided to throw the bunch of them together, and we can promote all of them on basically two motorcycles. We built a trailer, etc. So yeah, we've got a bunch of sponsors on board. From my side, I've got BDJ Freight International. They've been on board since basically day one. A huge shout out to those guys. Like I said, they've always been there. So yeah. Also from my side, I've got XPRO Security Solutions. They into X-ray machines, etc. Also big shout out. They've also been there from day one. And then Byron's side, Byron obviously he's also by himself a big sponsor. He owns Mag Magic. He does paintwork, which looks absolutely fantastic. I can't complain about the paintwork. It's brilliant. Then we've got JEYS Consultants. It's actually Alwyn Steenkamp that races in the extreme supercars. We've also been mates for quite some time. He was in the bike racing as well. So JEYS as
Is
well.
That the guy with the M3?
That's with the silver. What does Greg call it? The breathing dragon. Yes. That's right. Yes, and then, okay, Byron, sorry, I'm taking a bit over here, but Byron had sponsors on his side from day one, is Vaughan and his team from V&V Training. Also, a big shout out to those guys. They've been there since day one, so thank you very much. And then also Byron, one of Byron's old sponsors, Pool Warehouse. They've also been there since day one. So all our sponsors has been there since day one. And then this year we had the opportunity to sign one more sponsor that came on board. And we're trying our best to keep their name high, but with the lockdown, it's quite difficult. It's Pakisa Holdings Groups. Like I said, we're trying to keep their name high, and obviously we need to get out of this lockdown so all of our sponsors can have the coverage that they actually deserve. So big shout out. Thank you, guys. Thanks for always being there.
Good. Well, I mean, that kind of puts the picture. That's the team there. Byron, Sean from Mark commented that you might have gone to the loo, but you're back now in your bedroom, so yeah, got dark. But guys, thanks for joining us on the show. Good luck for the rest of the season. We do hope to see you both continue on the BMWs. Obviously, you won't have Harry breathing up your necks, but you have to worry about Nassif this year. So we'll see you guys, and hopefully we'll be on track soon and enjoy the rest of your lockdown. Cliff, do you want to wrap it up? And after this, we're going to go straight to our young female guest.
Yeah, guys, I mean, yeah, let's hope that we can go racing again soon. Byron, keep pushing Hein harder, because at this point in time, you're the number one man in the factory ride. So, yeah, keep it going, guys, and we'll see you guys at the track soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Guys, I just want to say thanks to the Bridgestone team as well. I mean, everything those guys have done for us. So thank you very much. Also, you guys, all the effort and everything you guys are doing. I mean, we can't say thanks enough. And then, yeah, let's be a bit cocky here. But Nassif, we are onto you, bud. We'll be there soon.
I've been waiting for that to happen for weeks. No one's done it. Thanks. I like a bit of, hey, but I'm coming. Hey, or like a... Good,
Thanks,
guys. Well,
guys.
thanks for joining us on Raceday.tv with Hanging Cable with myself and Cliff. I see the time. We've had a few hiccups. We do apologize for that. The Solidarity E-Race is going to happen soon, but just for a little half an hour. Just stick with us, and then we'll go and watch it all together and support that. Up next, number 77 in the Bridgestone Challenge, Savannah.
Oh,
hello. Hey. Good evening, Savannah. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. So we've had a bit of chat between Cliffy and myself. So, I mean, you've been the only one that seems to have a lot of training during this lockdown period. Do you want to just kind of elaborate on what you've been up to, how your season's going, what your plans are for the season? Because so far, you've entered into the Bridgestone Challenge, and you've kind of, you know, you've come out of a semi, let's say, a health retirement or a little break to just recover from an unfortunate incident that happened in Mexico a year or two ago. How's it going, and what's the plans for 2020?
Well, for 2020, it's been a hectic year so far. With this whole lockdown, the Wednesday before lockdown, I got the opportunity to be sponsored a motocross bike. So Wednesday I get the bike, I look at the field and I go, it's not kind of suitable to ride. So on Thursday morning, I got the tractor in to come and cut the grass. At 12 o'clock, the TLB came. We cleared up as much ground as we could. I did the best I could in a day, and the next day we were locked down. So it was quite hectic. It wasn't anything planned. It was just next thing, oh, here's a motorbike, make it work. And I was like, oh, okay. So we've got a 5-acre property. So cutting the grass took forever. Then it's now clearing all the grass and sand. But I come from motocross, so that was where I first started racing. But to learn to get back into it is crazy. I feel like I'm a learner. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, as you can see. A lot of falls in it, but I'm learning so much, and it's getting me so much stronger that when the racing season's back, I know I'll come back faster. Racing season.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think's the biggest? What is the thing you've probably learned the most since lockdown has happened on the off-road bike?
Putting the elbow down in the grass.
Yeah. Besides falling, learning to counter steer, to when the bike's about to throw you off, how to stop your bike from just deciding, okay, no, you are going off. There's a few moments you go sideways, the handlebars are sideways, and you're like, my word, what is happening? And you've just got to learn it, ride it through, and it has helped so much that now I know on the 600, if I get on the gas and it does go sideways, I know how to catch it and rectify it again. So it's taught me a lot of control. So I am looking to maybe when this is over and all that, and racing does start, as well as my superbike racing, get back into doing a few enduros and motocross races, because it's a big draw. And then
is this because of Sean and Strutty? Are they the ones that's been pushing you into the off-road enduro side of things? I need to ask, who's the catalyst for pushing Savannah off track into the off-road kind of world?
Well, off-road has always been a love of mine. It's been a part of my life. I've been riding off-road bikes since I was 5 years old. So, but yeah, Strutty and Sean and them said, come ride with us. And so I was like, why not? If not, why not? Take the chance and go with it.
Okay. Cliff, I mean, you had a few questions. I'm just keeping, I have a career crush on Savannah because she's one of the reasons I started racing initially. I remember Leroy telling me about this young lady who's going to tell me or teach me how to race a superbike. But unfortunately, you had overseas commitments, so I didn't ever get the chance to actually train with you. But then, what happened. But Cliff, I mean, what's your take on Savannah's career so far, bud?
Yeah, I mean, you've ridden you've an international rider. I mean, you competed, you went out, you raced in Mexico and all sorts. You had a big crash there, which I'd like to go back to just now. But yeah, it looks like you've master of all trades at this point in time. But I think the question I'd like to know more than anything, now that you've been riding on the off-road bike and you're learning how to control the bike when it's moving around a lot, any plans to go 1000cc in the future, or are you going to stick to 600?
Well, I'd enjoy going to the thousands eventually. It's just unfortunate budget-wise, as you guys know, already just being able to afford riding the 600 is a big deal on its own. From the medical bills and all that came along with my medical bill in Mexico sat at over, for my ICU time and all that, sat at over R1 million. So to cover that and the cost to get me home and recovery and all that, if I get the opportunity to ride the 1000, I'll be on it. I did in 2018. I rode the ZX10 at Pakisa and I loved it. It was such a joy. That's why also I have, instead of getting a 250 off-road bike, I've got a 450 because it's got stupid power and you have to learn to handle that power. You've got to ride it like a 1000. My first day I went out on it, I rode it like a normal off-road bike and it was going left, right, and I was like, okay, this is like a 1000. You can't go carry too much speed or crack the throttle open from the apex. You've got to get the bike in a straight line, then go. Otherwise you going sideways the whole time.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're seeing a picture on screen now of you basically getting your elbow down on that green machine. So I don't know if this is a mid-corner picture where after that you yes, okay. So I don't think it's the same picture though. That's not the same leather. So are you getting your elbow down on that bike? Can I just ask that? In the grass?
Not really. That was more of that. How I got that right is a bit of a secret, but that's not how I've been riding a motocross bike, because you end up with your face in the dirt.
So for you at home, and I just want to have a quick shout out to everyone watching. There's a whole bunch of people watching. Strutty, Sean, we've got the Loki familiars, Byron's, Christopher's, Paul, Daniel, Tyron. We've got all of you guys at home. So basically what Savannah's saying is that it's a stage picture and it's static, okay? That's not a real picture, but she dares you to try and do that and send us a picture. We'll give you 100,000.
I'm working on getting it as a a trick of mine where I can do it moving, but I'll get there. It takes time.
Gosh,
Should we throw the
no.
challenge out there, Keith, and see who can get the first picture of the elbow down on an off-road bike?
I'm kind of scared of the insurance implications of that challenge, because I think Raceday and Hanging Cave would be like, no, but you guys told everyone, like the egg challenge and all the that kind of thing. Just a quick thing. So obviously we're limited with time, and we do apologize for cutting out 2 of yours earlier. Savannah, just a quick overview of your career and what happened in Mexico, if you don't mind. How did it start for you?
Okay, so where it basically started was I got the opportunity in 2017. I won the 1 hour in Zimbabwe. Then my first national race ever, I placed on the podium. So I did the an advert overseas in Italy. So I had Chicho, Lorenzo, and all them watching and looking. They are lookouts. Even people don't believe it. Oh, we're in South Africa. No one's looking at. They're lookouts. I did go to Red Bull Rookies. So they were looking at. And after the national, I got sent an email saying, do you want to come and join us in Mexico? At first I was like, hey, is this a joke? It's in Mexico. What racing is there in Mexico? I've never heard of it. But I took the shot, and it worked out for me. I remember it was either choose racing nationals here in South Africa or Mexico with Tito Lorenzo. So I took it going overseas. Who gets the opportunity to train with Jorge Lorenzo's father, race with girls overseas that have raced with Anna Carrasco? So I took the opportunity, and I loved every minute of it. I learned so much throughout the year. I went there and I did cone work with him, and Chicho Lorenzo looked at me and he went, hey, you're fast, but you have no idea why. It was the worst thing. I felt so embarrassed, but he told me what to do, how to get better. So it was a constant learning thing. You didn't just go there and rock up and race. You got there about a week before the race. You spent the week before the race training every day out at the training center. Then you travel to the racetrack and you race. So yeah, the accident I had was unfortunate, but it was a racing accident. The other girl and I went to overtake her. We bumped handlebars. I ran off track, and I was controlling the bike fine, and long grass. I saw long grass. What's you going through long grass? I went through the long grass. I went forward at the last minute. I saw there was a broken down wall. So I tried a wall, and I flew about 10 meters at almost 2 stories high and landed on my back and head. So it comes with the sports. It's an injury, and it happens. But hey, I'm pushing to get back and trying to get back overseas. So we'll see how it goes.
So tell me, Savannah, mentally now with the riding and that, because I mean, you actually sent me the video of that crash, and you were looking at the inside, and they just closed the door on the apex and that. When you now back racing and that, are you a little bit tentative when it comes to overtaking, or have you put that out of your mind and said, like you said, no, it is what it is, and we're just going to carry on racing and be aggressive? Or have you found yourself being a little bit attentive and you kind of work up the confidence to get back to where you were?
It's a very difficult one, because the girl that I had the accident with, it was her first race overseas. So I didn't know her, where she was all the time. So if it's a rider I've never ridden with, and I've got to pass them, it takes me a while to get past, because I don't trust riders now. But like, if I had to race against any of the people I have constantly ridden with, I have no problem passing. Like, if it was any of the girls from the Ladies Cup from last year, I'd pass them with no problem. If I know the rider and I know how to get past them and where I can trust them, then it hasn't bothered me. But when it's a new rider, I do hold back for a while and then go past. But it'll come with time. Yeah. Here's the video.
You're running up the inside here.
Yeah. And then I run up the inside. and we tap handlebars. You'll look in the distance. There's a flying human being.
Oh,
There.
And
Wait.
it's playing
so
again.
look
So
in the distance.
this on the inside Savannah there. She goes on the inside line, and there they touch slightly there.
Yeah.
Then she goes straight
And
off of track there. Oh.
Look on the grass when she
Yeah, if you look
tips
the
over.
fast start now. Yeah. There we go.
Goodly molly.
And
Yeah,
then-
that makes me.
That's a tumble,
Yeah, then
right?
I hit, then I flip.
Oh.
That's me flipping. Yeah.
God, Savannah, that is just. Look, this is the first time I'm seeing this, and I do apologize if I do sound a bit taken aback, but that's a nasty fall. And
Yeah.
God, I'm just very happy that you're home safe and well and racing again. And just thank you to everyone that's been in South Africa in the motorsport circle supporting to get Savannah back and helping with that whole situation. Yo,
It's
young
been-
lady,
because that was-
don't take crap, eh? You
That was-
don't.
That was
Sorry?
quite a big thing with after your crash, whatever. It was quite a big thing with the racing community pulling together to try and get you back home. Because I mean, and that's what I want to ask you. I mean, if you're racing, I mean, here locally and that with MSA, we've got to take out the medical insurance and all sorts. Is there something similar to that when you race internationally, or does it not work the same? Because I mean, at that point in time, it's a racing incident, but I mean, you had to come back home to receive further treatment. So what was the whole process there?
MSA, they did help me out a lot. Yes, we do have the medical cover and international medical cover, but unfortunately, I was in a neurospecialist hospital, so the medical bills were extremely high. So they helped me out as much as they could, but thanks to all the biking community who did fundraisers and all that to help me and my parents pay for the medical bills and to fly me back home. MSA organized to get the doctor to travel to Mexico to fly back with me in first class and all that. And I was lucky to have the biking community and MSA. They helped me out as much as they could.
Sure.
But being overseas, you know, the rand comparing to like there, it's a peso. But if it's the exchange rate is at what will seem like a lot of money here, you use it over there and it's nothing. So
Yeah, especially in these times of Corona, but let's not talk about that.
yeah.
Short there. Look, we're kind of running out of time. We have had delays. I do apologize, Savannah. We want to say thank you so much. Cliffy, I'm cutting you short too. I do apologize. But thanks for coming onto the show. We do hope to see you on international tracks, but more so local tracks first in 2020. Let's hope all of this gets sorted out and we can get back to the racetrack, either dirt or tar for you young misses. But yeah, thanks for joining us and thanks for being such an inspiration. I think you're very much a big part of the female riding community in South Africa, and also now part with Riding of a Limb and so many organizations, and once again MSA getting involved. Thanks for everyone who does all the work to keep motorsport going and moving forward in South Africa. There's a lot of initiatives and a lot of people doing a lot of effort, and I think you're a great ambassador for the sport. So from Raceday and Hanging Cable, thanks for joining us on the show. It's about time we see your face here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm trying so hard to get more people into racing. We are with Riding for a Limb. We're trying to get a lady who's got a prosthetic limb racing and that again. So, but we'll get it going. You know, the biking community has so much love to give. We'll get through this virus and we'll go racing again. And I'm missing my superbike. You can see me leaning and pretending to ride a motocross bike like my superbike. I love motocross, but my superbike speed I love more. So thank you guys so much for having me. A big shout out to everyone who's helped me get to this point, and see you at the racetrack when this is all over.
Good. Cliff, I know you want to say something, but I jumped in because I was still...
No. I mean, I'm 100% happy with that. You covered everything, but yeah, Savannah, keep up the good work, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you at the racetracks too, no?
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Before you go, last one. Your little mascot, 77, there's a little bug. Is that a ladybug on there?
No,
what's that about?
Actually, you know the movie, the animation movie Bugs? It's a little ant. And the reason why I've got the little bug is when I was growing up, my dad's nickname for me was Jorge. And if he called anyone else Jorge, I would lose it. So my mascot is little Jorge. And it's a cheeky little thing because that's how I used to stand and tell my dad, no, this is not on. You don't call anyone else your Jorge.
Like a little pink version of Mark Marquez's ant. If that's not
Yeah,
subliminal
exactly.
messaging,
Yeah.
I don't know what is. You know what I mean? Anyways, Savannah, thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you at round 3 for Bridgestone Challenge, we hope. And be safe and love to all the family. We'll chat to you soon.
Stay safe, guys. See you all soon.
Cool. See you later. So,
See you later.
Cliffy, the show so far, even with the little bugs and the pink bugs and the internet bugs, it's been a really good show so far. We've had some good insight with the Bridgestone Challenge. Good chatting to Savannah. It's the first time I saw that crash. Kind of got me freaking out a bit. That was nasty, but I'm glad she came back the way she did.
That's
up
a proper
next,
stumble, that, eh?
yeah, no, look, that looked severe, and I'm quite happy it wasn't me in that situation, but I'm very glad that everyone in MSA and the local racing community pulled together to get the young lady in number 77 back onto our shores and safe to her family home. So good job, everyone, and good career lying ahead for you, Miss Savannah. Are you sure about that? Mr. Rob Portman, the editor and the chief tester at RideFast Magazine, always makes a special appearance on our show. Normally to talk about everything interesting on MotoGP level, local monocle series, or everything Superbikes. Tonight he's on the show because I actually want to ask him about his racing career. So, Rob, welcome to the show. Hope you're well.
Yeah, all good, thanks, man. If you want to talk about my racing career, I hope you have another 6,000 gigs and 5 million hours, because I'm 38 years old and I've done a lot.
Look, I just want to go because, I mean, you're quite an ambassador. You're a massive ambassador for the sport. Like, you're very much in there on an international level. You know what the inside is. Yourself and Donovan Free have a wonderful show going about MotoGP. I watched it yesterday. It was so insightful and lovely. Then on a local thing, you get to test all the bikes, all the road bikes, the super bikes, the races. You're just everyone's mate. You know, everyone in the motorcycle community knows you as Rob from RideFast, and that's one persona and one job and character you fill. But there's a big side of that we don't know, and me especially. Like, I'd like to know where it started with you individually, like your race breakdown. Where did Rob Portman start racing?
Sure, like I said, we're going to have to go back a long time. You know, I used to ride little dirt bikes, little Pee Wee 50s, DS, Suzuki 80 in the felt behind the house. I was a big soccer player, actually. All I wanted to do was play soccer. And when my dad was always obviously involved with racing. He was president of the Motorcycle Commission and everything, and he raced for many years. And when I turned 12, my dad never really took notice of my soccer. But when I turned 12, he came to me. I was still playing spin the bottle in the bar with some chicks. You know, you remember spin the bottle? Spin the bottle. And then
Spinning the bottle with chicks.
Yeah, man. I was so good at that game, mate. But yeah, I was playing spin the bottle, and my dad walked in. He had obviously had a few drinks, but he now felt it was the time to ask me if I wanted to go racing. And little did I know, he pulled out a contract. I'd been offered to go train in the UK for 3 months with a soccer team as a trial run, go stay there for 3 months. So my dad said, if you want to go do this, I'll pay for this, or do you want to give motorbike racing a try, and I'll pay for that. And in front of the chicks playing spin the bottle, I just think motorbike racing sounded cooler. So I didn't actually think of the bigger picture at all. So I said to my dad, well, yeah, let's give it a try. Let's go ride a bike. And 2 days later, I went to the old Corrobrick, and my dad pulled out a Suzuki Gamma 50, and I rode that, and that was it. The bug had bitten, and from there, the rest is pretty much history. I went on, raced regional championship for many years, won 250cc regional Northern Regions titles, won 2 Power Sport, 1 to 5 regional titles. That's the triumph for me on my triumph. That was probably my best year of national racing in 2010, where I came I won a couple of races that year for Triumph. First time Triumph had won national races in South Africa. And coming to 2 rounds to go in Cape Town, I had a 16-point lead over Ronan Kwambi and Stephen Woodendaal. So all I had to do was pretty much finish in the top 3, which was guaranteed in that race in the Kyalami, and I would have been champion. And unfortunately, we blew a motor in the Saturday morning qualifying in Cape Town, and I had 2 DNFs in Cape Town, and that pretty much ended my championship. Finished 3rd in the South African Championship there. But yeah, I've had a very fortunate career. I've raced for Ducati in 2003, 2004. I raced for Honda, I raced for Suzuki, I raced for Kawasaki, I raced for Yamaha, and yeah, now more recently back on a Ducati. So very, very fortunate. I love motorcycle racing, and that's why it's not hard work for me to be involved and do as much as I do, because it's all driven by passion.
Yeah. Cliff, I can see you on the bit there asking a question. Up to you, bud.
No, I mean, I'm looking at all the pictures of Rob, and it makes me nostalgic, because I remember I used to be a fanboy in 2003 and 2004 and go sit at the bottom of the mine shaft and watch you when you're on your Ducati and that like hit through the bowl and up towards the chicane and that. But I mean, you've moved along through all the years. What is probably what is the best bike or the bike you've enjoyed riding the most? Was it the Triumph, or did you enjoy competing on the 1000?
2003, I really enjoyed it. It was a proper go.
You still there, Rob?
That was a really good team to be part of. There was the factory teams, and then you had the privateer class. So I finished 3rd in that privateer class that year. And then in 2004, I got bumped up to the factory Ducati team with Lance Isaacs, who had just returned from World Superbike duty. So we had a lot of fun that year. The bike wasn't the most competitive, the 999. It was the first year of the 1000s and 600s combined. But it was being part of a factory team. My first taste of that, and really enjoyed it. Then I moved on to the Honda CBR 1000, sponsored by Honda Eastern Mall. Dave Cletty gave me that chance and loved riding that bike. That's where I really got to learn how to control horsepower and slide a motorbike into turns and like really manhandle a motorbike. Because remember, we didn't have traction control or any of those riding aids back then. We had 155, 158, sometimes 160 horsepower, a throttle and a brake lever. That's all you had. So you had to like really control it. But those were the days. You know, if you did a 44 around Kyalami, you were, if you qualified inside the top 15, you were hot business. It was Russell Wood, Greg Dreyer, Ruben Woodley, Hudson Kenner, Shares. It was all the top boys, and Noel Haroff and all those guys. And it was some of the hardest racing I've ever experienced in my life. But 2010 for sure on that Triumph, traditional Triumph, the Triumph dealership back then in Edenvale, they're still going. They're not a Triumph dealership anymore, but they're still going. Nick Davidson and his father came in and sponsored me along with Arnold Olivier when he was boss of Triumph South Africa back then. And we had this project. Ricky Moraes was my manager. Martinez Lawrence was one of my mechanics, and we just decided let's give this a go. Full Throttle was one of our sponsors, and it turned out to be really good. First race at Kyalami, I got taken out by one of the young riders, one of the Alberts brothers, and then race 2 I finished 3rd, and then I picked up a couple of wins and a lot of podiums that year, and like I said, came so close. So the most enjoyable bike for sure was that one that I rode, because I also went on to win 2 24-hour races, bike you say 24-hour races at Red Star on the Triumph 765. So yeah, it was always a good bike to me. I loved that bike. But then again, I've loved every bike that I've raced, including the Yamaha in 2013 and 2014, even though it tried to kill me.
I actually remember that.
About that, I mentioned, or I actually saw you posting a picture of that, I think a week or something ago, Rob, about, you're doing this nostalgic flashbacks of your history, and that's enticed me to have all these questions. But that seemed like a very intense crash. Do you want to tell us more about that, where that was and how it happened?
Yeah, so Yamaha came back with like a proper team in 2013. Myself and Dylan White were on the 1000s. Janine Mitchell and Dean Foss were on the 600s. Moraes again was running the team. Proper factory, well-run team. That's being part of a Ricky team. You're always going to get a good bike and a very well-run kind of operation. And came into the first race at Kyalami, was feeling confident, was doing really competitive lap times, even though the bike was a little bit off power compared to the Hondas and the Kawasaki's back then. But we gave it a good go, and I remember coming onto the front straight in the Friday practice. In the final session, I was 5th fastest, and I saw the time, and I thought, yes, I can find half a second, which will put me closer to the top 3. And I came onto the front straight, head down, bum up, at the old Kyalami where you went flat out right-hander, rev limiter 5th gear, and then you like banged it down 2 or 1 depending on your gearing into this fast left-hander before the new Kyalami was built. So the version just before this new Kyalami. And went in the right hand flat out and flicked it over, and there were just no brakes, just that feeling of grabbing, and nothing was stopping me. So threw it down 2 or 3 gears to try and get it stopped using the back brake as well, ran into the kitty litter. And people forget, the Armco barrier was about 150, 200 meters away with gravel there. But doing 220 k's an hour, that Armco was coming like really fast. So I remember still making the decision to literally jump off the bike, jumped off, cartwheeled, catapulted, came to a stop. And, you know, I've had a lot of crashes in my life where I know, okay, there's something sore, or it's just winded, I'll be fine. And I remember sitting up thinking, okay, this is not good. But straight away I was thinking, right, let's get back to the pits, let's get the bike fixed. You know, we got a race tomorrow, and you know, Ricky's a hard oak to be with. So I know I could just picture him shouting at me saying, "Get up, Morphy, get off the bike." So I was lying there, kind of stood up, and the medic said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, come, let's just get my bike," and collapsed to my knees. And I said, "Okay, there's something wrong here." And got taken away in the ambulance. Greg Maloney helped me a lot. He was like my wingman that day. Took me to the hospital. Amy wasn't with me, so Greg was kind of the communication to Amy. My mom and my brother were in New Zealand. So it was a huge course, but getting to the hospital, getting to ICU diagnosed, punctured lung, 6 broken ribs, bad bruising, ligaments, everything destroyed. Amy came to the hospital in ICU, all fine. Later that night, about 5 hours after the accident, went for a shower, and remember just waking up with Amy and my dad and everyone over me crying. And I was like, "Why are you all crying? Like, it's a punctured lung and ribs. Don't worry about it. I'm fine." And they're like, "Don't you know what happened?" And I said, "No." They said, you passed out in the shower. Your pulmonary artery burst. It's some artery that feeds blood from your heart to somewhere, something. And it burst, and you collapsed in the shower, and you were, you know, minutes away from dying. And luckily, one of the nurses that was standing outside heard me collapse, took me to theatre, operated, put a drain in my left lung to drain the blood out, and there I was. So I was like, "Geez, I didn't even know any of that happened." An hour after that, a doctor came to me and said, your lung's taken quite a beating. We've got 3 options. We put you in induced coma until your lung heals. Second, we operate. We take 40% of your lung. Or third option is you're quite a healthy guy. Luckily, I'd never smoked in my life, fortunately. And doing the whole band thing and screaming on stage, I think kind of strengthened my lungs, because the doctor was, "You've got quite strong lungs. Let's give it a go and see if they heal themselves." And yeah, 17 days in ICU, 2 blood transfusions. I think something like 17 liters of blood drained out of my lungs and stuff. And miraculously recovered. And then 2 weeks later, went down to PE, raced again, and was going for a lap time Saturday morning qualifying, and dumped it into 1. And then rocked up on the grid, because I didn't want to disappoint anyone again. Rocked up on the grid and passed out on the grid, and was taken to hospital with a broken collarbone and 3 more broken ribs. So yeah, it was a tough season. It really was a character.
I'm laughing, but not because you're funny, because I'm getting the nervous anxiety of going, "Geez, that's why my nickname is going to be the Rookie forever," because I would never want myself to do that.
It was trying times, and you know, to be honest, since then I've had trust issues with motorbikes. You know, that feeling of having no brakes is the worst feeling in the world. And I've tested some road bikes since then where brake fade and fading brakes is a reality. And that's the biggest thing. Even now when I climb on a race bike, as soon as I get a little bit of brake fade, or the lever just coming in, I go down the straights, and I just find myself always searching for that lever. So, but the confidence is coming back. The last couple of years I've been on good motorbikes. This Ducati V4R we're on now has got the best brakes in the world. So yeah, we'll get back there at 38 years old.
Hey, I mean, racing's got no age limit. Let's be honest. I mean, the ZX10 Masters Cup, the guys in the bots, there's a certain age where you can only afford to get into it. So I think anything, you know, if my experience is to go by, starting at 34, literally for the first time going onto track, there's no age limit to racing. If you're determined and you want to do it, and you're fearless and you've got the confidence, I recommend doing it. I think it's life-changing. It's completely changed my life in the last year. I got to meet both of you handsome gentlemen and every other person that you've had on this show and on the grids. So yeah, I think not road racing, but racing on track, it's a definite go-to. Rob, we're going to have to cut you off. We're all cutting to the Solidarity E-Race with Sasha Martingo and Mr. Maloney. Thanks for doing that. But thanks for joining us on the show again. Cliffy, I'm sorry about the internet bugs, my brew.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. But Rob, before you go, Rob, I just want to ask you, would you ever consider going ZX10 Cup racing, or would you like just stick with the bots for now?
I'd like to go ZX10, but obviously JEYS and the team from Ducati South Africa came in with a sponsorship. I'm in the situation now with my family where I can't be selfish and take the little budget and money we have to go racing. So I'm very fortunate that Ducati South Africa put the bill to go racing, and we've got sponsors like Create Works, Rich Racing, Ridgeway Race Bar, Dunlop Tire South Africa, Wing Promotion, Beam Production.
Yep.
All those guys helping us out, United Sports Construction Solutions, and so we get to go racing, and me and my brother share a bike. It's the cheapest and best way to go racing. But I'd love to give ZX10 a go, but it's really competitive, so I don't know. A part of me wants to, but a part of me doesn't want to get my ass handed to me.
Awesome. Well, that's a fair enough assessment of the ZX10, because I call them the kamikazes, because those guys just no brakes forever.
Prefer commentating on them than racing against them. It's easier.
Yeah.
So listen, guys, just before we go, we've got an announcement to make that's in partnership with Raceday.tv, RideFast Magazine. Motul South Africa has come on board to partner up with Jeff Latham from PE to have a little colouring competition. We're launching that tomorrow. We're mentioning it now in the show. Tomorrow on Raceday.tv, there's going to be 4 pictures. That's my dog. Sorry about that. He's just saying, how's it? But we've got a picture of Rob Portman on his Ducati and PE on the Aldous Krabani track. Then we've got a picture of Michael White and our road race champion and legend Alan John Fenter, who, by the way, Rob says that you're a massive asset to local South African racing and that you've been around longer than most South African race tracks. Boom. So I said that. Shout out AJ for the show. But back to the medal colouring competition. So we'll launch it tomorrow. There's 4 pictures taken by Jeff with South African motorcyclists on them. You can send it to us via, you can print it out and do a crayon or pencil colouring, or do a digital e-colouring and send it back to us, and there will be a prize from Motul South Africa, powered by Motul, for 5,000 rands worth of hamper with lubricants for your motorcycle and your car.
Oh.
So thanks a lot for Motul for coming on board. So check that tomorrow. Great pictures from Jeff. There's a beautiful one of you, Rob, in Skrabanti style. And but thanks for joining us. Quick one, is there any news on your May edition? Have you decided what's happening with that?
Yeah, so the May edition, we're going to go to print with in about 2 weeks' time. We've had a really good response from advertisers, even during the COVID lockdown, to still spend the money and get their brands promoted in the mag. So I'm busy with it. I'll give you a sneak little preview here. This is
awesome. First.
Yeah. That's all you're going to get.
Yeah, that's so quick, man.
So yeah, it's a really cool issue. So that'll be out probably from Monday, the 4th of May. So look out for that. It's going to be a free digital issue on our motormedia.co.za platform again. And then just touching on AJ saying I'm older than most tracks, he's right. I've outlived Swartkop Short, Swartkop's Long, Lichtenberg, and just about Midval. So yeah, he's got it spot on. And Red Star, and about 2-3 versions of Kailami.
Yeah, Kailami. Don't forget Kailami.
Well, Rob, Cliffy, Rob, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for always making me more knowledgeable of the sport that we all love so much. Thanks for all the work that you guys do. Let's all tune in again next week on Raceday.tv. Follow our launch of the model competition tomorrow. We'll put all of Jeff's pictures up and you can start colouring to compete for that 5,000 Rand hamper. Massive hamper. Cliffy, I can see you entering. And then also, let's get all offline. We'll chat to Harry next week, and let's go support the Solidarity E-Race that's on now. So let's go there, and we'll see you guys next week on Raceday.tv. Thanks for joining,
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Be safe.
Bye, guys.